in the high desert of northern New Mexico, an hour from the Colorado border, there was once a thriving industrial town. This was the town of Dawson, New Mexico. Today, nothing remains but a cemetery and scattered foundations. But at the turn of the 20th century, Dawson was one of the most important coal-producing towns in the American Southwest. A place where thousands came seeking work and the promise for a better life. In the mid-1800s, New Mexico was still a rough frontier territory. Railroads were expanding westward, and steam engines demanded one thing above all else: coal. Large coal deposits were discovered in Colfax County, and in 1901, the Dawson Fuel Company opened what would become known as the Stag Canyon Mines. In 1905, the mines and railroad were sold to the Phelps Dodge Company. A company town was built, almost from scratch in the valley. That town was Dawson. Unlike many rough mining camps of the era, Dawson was designed to be a modern, permanent settlement. It had rows of company houses, paved streets, a hospital, department store, schools, churches, movie theater, and even a swimming pool. A railroad spur connected Dawson to the outside world, allowing thousands of tons of coal to be shipped across the region. By the 1910s, Dawson had grown to more than 6,000 residents. Most of Dawson's miners were immigrants. Men came from Italy, Greece, Mexico, Eastern Europe, and the American South, all drawn by the promise of steady wages. Many did not speak English, and many had never worked underground before, but coal mining paid better than most other jobs. Everything from housing to groceries was owned by the mining company. Workers were paid in part with company scrip, redeemable only at the company stores. If you lost your job, you lost your home. If you were injured, you and your family could be evicted. This system gave the company near total control over people's lives. Working in the coal mines was brutal. Miners spent 10 to 12 hours a day in narrow, dark tunnels hundreds of feet below ground. They drilled holes into rock, packed it with explosives, blasted coal loose, and then shoveled it by hands into the carts. Coal dust filled the air. Explosions, cave-ins, and suffocation were constant threats. By 1913, Dawson was producing an enormous amount of coal, making it one of the most valuable mining towns in the region. The company was making millions, and the miners were risking their lives for it. Dawson had 10 coal mines, often referred to as Stag Canyon No. 1 through 10. Many mines were connected to the processing facilities by an electric-powered railway. Once the coal reached the facilities, it was cleaned and separated by size. The town had cooking ovens, which processed the coal into coke. By the fall of 1913, Dawson was at its peak. A booming company town, powered by coal. But deep underground, a deadly mixture of gas, dust, and explosive force was waiting. And on October 22nd, tragedy would strike. October 22, 1913 began like any other workday in Dawson. Before dawn, miners woke in their company houses, kissed their wives goodbye, and walked towards the mouth of Stag Canyon Mine No. 2. By mid-afternoon, 286 men were working underground. None of them knew it at the time, but this would be the last time they walked in or out of the mine alive. At approximately 3:10 p.m., deep inside the mine, a worker was preparing a blast. The mine was still in general operation. making this a violation in mining safety laws. When it detonated, the explosion ignited the fine layer of coal dust, coating the walls, ceiling, and floor of the tunnels. In an instant, fire raced through miles of underground passageways, consuming oxygen and producing poisonous gas. A column of flame, smoke, and debris shot out of the entrance. The blast was heard for miles and felt 2 miles away in Dawson. Rescue teams rushed towards the mine, but the situation was hopeless. The explosion had collapsed tunnels, sealed off escape routes, and filled the air with deadly carbon monoxide. Men who survived the initial blast were slowly suffocated. Only 23 men made it out alive. The rest of the 263 men were killed. 2 rescuers also lost their lives trying to save the men. For hours, teams worked through the wreckage, dragging bodies out one by one. Some were burned, some crushed. Others were found exactly where they had fallen while trying to escape. George Maveroids, one of the survivors, witnessed 16 men die around him before he himself lost consciousness. He woke up the next morning in the mine office. Outside of the mine, wives, mothers, and children waited. The company hospital overflowed. Bodies were lined up for identification. Some families lost fathers and sons in the exact same blast. In a town of just a few thousand people, nearly everyone knew someone who had died. The cemetery filled up rapidly. Simple white iron crosses were placed over the graves, one for each man lost. Many of the dead were Hispanic, Italian, and Greek immigrants, and their communities were devastated. In some cases, families home in Europe would not learn for months that their husbands and sons had died in the disaster. Investigators discovered the explosion was caused by an illegal dynamite charge that ignited coal dust inside the mine. Dawson would never be the same again. After the explosion of 1913, Dawson tried to move forward. The mine reopened and coal began flowing again. 10 years after the disaster, on February 8, 1923, disaster struck again. This time it was Stag Canyon Mine No. 1. An explosion ripped through the tunnels. 123 miners were killed. Once again, Dawson filled with smoke, rescuers, and screaming families. Once again, the crews drug out bodies covered in dust and blood. The cause of the explosion was a mine car that derailed, knocking down timbers and an electric trolley cable. Sparks from the cable ignited the coal dust, causing the explosion. Dawson claimed the victims of 2 of the worst coal mining disasters in American history. After 1923, Dawson was never the same. Coal production slowed. By the 1930s and 40s, Dawson was slowly dying. By 1950, the mine shut down for good. Without coal, Dawson had no reason to exist. The company tore down the houses. Buildings were sold or hauled away. Today, almost nothing remains of the town. No streets, no houses, no theaters, only the cemetery and ruins spread across the countryside. Hundreds of white iron crosses still stand on the hillside, each one marking a man who went underground and never came back. Many of the names are Italian, Greek, Slavic, and Hispanic. Immigrants who came seeking a future. The mines are gone. The town is gone, but the dead remain. Dawson lives on in photos, motion pictures, and in history books. I want to thank y'all for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next. Peace.